Tom here, Flip Anything USA. Keep trying to find time to do a nice scripted talk with you, but I don't have time. So I'm going to run through here. Been had a lot of questions here lately from people, asking about finding deals. Also, some people aren't so confident in their negotiating skills. And it's not always important. Sometimes you don't even have to see people face to face. I just say be yourself and just, ask, good questions. So I'm going to talk to you first. We'll talk about negotiating a little bit right now. And we can talk about finding deals too. They kind of go hand in hand because sometimes you negotiate your best deal. So I'll talk about, let's talk about finding deals a little bit. So a lot of times the deals I find, I might send a letter directly to somebody, look them up in the tax assessor's records. If you're not familiar with that, basically you can find any information on any, you know the address, you'll be able to find out who owns it, and you'll be able to find out if it's owner-occupied or non-owner-occupied. A lot of times there's a good chance that they might be inclined to sell if it's a rental, or if you see somebody moving out, then it's an opportunity for people to sell because it's an empty rental, not making any money. So I tell people, sometimes a for rent sign or a for lease sign, that's more valuable than a for sale sign. Because if it's for sale, everybody calls on it. But if it's for rent or lease, people just walk by thinking, oh, I'm looking to buy. Well, guess what? I'm looking to buy too. And when I call that guy, nobody else is calling him. So keep that in mind. For rent signs, for lease signs, that's an opportunity to hit an owner up on a property that isn't producing income at the moment. So there's, so that's probably a great tip that most people don't even know right there. It's a big one. Other things are, if you just see a property in disrepair, that's obvious. That's a warning sign. I've lost a couple of deals that I wish I'd have jumped on a little earlier. I won't talk about those right now, but millions and millions of dollars I've lost by being second, by not being there first, or being a little bit late. And it's painful, but you learn from it, and at least you're on the right track when that happens. If I hadn't made so much money, I'd be really bitter about some of those deals that I've lost. But I've made a lot of money. So that's where we want you to be. And so one of the things, let's say you do get to talking to somebody and you finally got, a seller there. Well, you always want to be very careful. You want to like the property. Some people go in there, they try to bash and rip apart. Well, it's insulting to a seller to talk like that. So don't insult the seller. So what you want to do is you want to like the property, but maybe dislike a problem. In other words, you're trying to negotiate the best price, and a lot of times, sometimes the seller is maybe a little too proud of their property. Maybe they don't see all the problems with what they're selling. So you might say, there's no smoke alarms. What do those cost? I see you got a cracked window here. Is that something you wanted to fix, or you want me to take care of that? And just kind of, tactfully make them aware of problems that cost money to fix. It could be paint, it could be peeled paint, and and don't just say, oh, you need a paint job, this, that. You just say, hey, what do you think it costs to paint? What do you think it would cost to do this? That way you're kind of nicely reminding them that there are repairs to be done here. There is work to do here, without insulting them and tell them, oh, it's a piece of crap. It's just better. It just really is better. So I talk about problems on a property when I'm really negotiating with somebody with, hey, how do we get past this? Or hey, what does it rent for? Or if I have to go borrow $100,000, $200,000, the mortgage, what the mortgage is going to be on a 20-year note or whatever, and then you'll say, yeah, how am I supposed to cover this note? How am I supposed to cover that note with the, how much rent? And then they start putting it together. Oh yeah, maybe that isn't enough rent. Anyways, you kind of tactfully bring up problems that make them think about maybe lowering their price. It's always a good move without insulting them. Proposals. A lot of times, look, nobody gets any interest on their money now. So talking to somebody about owner financing is a really good move. I've owner financed stuff that I've sold, but I've also bought property and had it owner finance that I could have never bought otherwise. If it wasn't, I couldn't have got a bank loan at the time. But also there's a lot more reason to owner finance now, because if I sold a property to you for a couple $100,000 and maybe I'm not an investor like I am, maybe I'm just going to put it in the bank. Well, if I'm just going to put it in the bank, I'm going to get less than 1% interest on it. But if I carry the note, then, I could carry the note for 5 to 7 or maybe 10%. Right now, if I could, typically if somebody's going to put it in the bank's just going to reloan the money. And I'll tell that to a seller. I'll say, look, not to get into your business, but what are you going to do with this money that I give you, And they'll say, I'll probably just put it in the bank. We say, well, why put it in the bank when you can be the bank? And then I introduce them to, owner financing because, and I always make the example, say, well, look, if I give you 200 grand, you're going to put it in the bank. You're going to get 0.5%. And guess what? The bank's going to loan me most of that money at 4%. And why let them make 3.5%? How about you carry the note at 4%? And then that way you get a loan without having to go through all the hoops of getting a bank loan if you can convince them to carry it. And, a lot of times, they have worries about, I don't want to have to foreclose, or, they worry about stuff like that. And I mean, once you have a good record, you can kind of show them, well, look, I pay my bills, that's never going to be an issue. And also, you reassure them that the collateral is good and that you're going to take care of it. You got to sell yourself to a degree. Now, not everybody's real comfortable or confident talking, but, just be yourself, relax. The reason the seller's talking to you is because he wants to sell. Don't forget that. He wants to sell and you want to buy. So people can make things work. So let's see. Proposal. So I might say, look, maybe I would like them to own or carry it. I don't really want to have to go through a bank loan because I know that might take quite a bit of work to get the property up to par. And so you can tell them that. Say, you know what, the bank's going to require this and this and this. The appraiser's going to come out and then, they might shoot it down for these reasons. And so it'd be a whole lot better if you did carry the note, and then we can close sooner too. We can close, next week or next month, rather than 60 days after we get told we have to make all these things and fix all these things to make a sale. So, again, these are ways of just talking about problems that can come up and, and help you guide it to a result that you want. Like I say, waiting for a bank, there's going to be time lost if they want to get it closed. I always like to get things closed quickly too, myself. So just, kind of rambling on here about some of these things regarding negotiating. We can talk a little bit about finding deals too. Like I said, finding deals, looking at for rent signs is a good lead. Direct mail, talking to agents and letting them know that you tend to only deal with the listing agent. Say if you have a listing or would they have a pocket listing, I always let agents know, say, hey, if you got a pocket listing, let's talk about it. Now what that means to them, it means they got a listing that's in their pocket but it's not signed. And that means that you're going to talk to them and make them feel comfortable with you so that they know that they can trust you. I mean, I deal with pocket listings all the time and I would never disclose anybody's pocket listing, but that way I get the benefit of knowing about something that's going to be on the market. And guess what? I'm the first guy to make an offer on it when I know what's going on. And, I've had several deals like that. And it's the best place to be because you're bidding on it first and no competition. So we'll jump back over to finding deals again. Like one time I bought a big property from a big linen company, I won't say, but it's a big linen outfit. I think they supplied the big towel when they used to dry hands with the thing. Anyhow, I think it was Mission Linen actually, out of Santa Barbara. Anyhow, I saw a building that was empty. I contacted them on it, and it was empty. And I said, hey, you want to sell that asset? And they said, hey, well, yeah, we'll talk about it. And so I went down there just to get the paper signed when we finally agreed on a price. But I drew a picture of the building. I don't even remember exactly. I'm sure I made, $70,000 or $100,000 on it. It's about 20 years ago or more. But I remember specifically that the slab was offset like this. And so we were talking about a certain price, I don't know, maybe, $120,000 or something. And I was talking to him about this slab being, not being even inside there. And I think they had a couple of pits for whatever, some sort of chemical or something at the time, I can't remember, but I should have reminded him, oh yeah, this has got to be filled, and this has got to be drained, and this has got to be, and this needs to be leveled out, and I'd say, how about you guys go ahead and take care of this, and then we'll close the deal, and I gave him a list of, quite a bit of work to do that might have totaled $20,000, $30,000, and in the end, they were kind of like, well, how about we just take off another $10,000, $15,000, which is what I was going for. And so that's what they did, is they took off, $10,000, $15,000 for all the things that I told them that I needed to fix. And they said, how about you just fix it yourself? I said, okay, that sounds good. Rather than pay 30, I'll do it myself, and you'll knock off 15. And so again, it was just talking, trying to get to to an end and get a better deal. But at the same time, being careful not to insult the sellers. And that was a real nice deal. I turned around and I think I sold that about a year or two later and had a nice profit. And anyhow, it was very nice. Yeah, I remember a little house too. Same thing. There were some siding issues and some minor plumbing issues, and we talked about it. I got them to own or carry it as well. And then again, they were all hep to work on it and fix it up a little bit before I took it off their hands. But in the end, they just said, you know what, we'll just take off another 10 grand and you go ahead and take it, which worked for me. Generally, I don't like to replace everything. If you put in a brand new dishwasher, then all of a sudden the cabinets look older. So you got to be really careful. Sometimes you have a real nice old place, something that's built in the 20s or 30s, and maybe the cabinets are, paint grade and there's tile and it's old tile. But man, just scrub it and clean it, make the grout clean, and just get it super spick and span. Make your windows just shine that are perfectly, just perfectly clean on both sides. And you'd be surprised. You'd make the window appeal. When you walk up to a house, if you just edge the yard and just get all the dirt and cut everything clean and make the yard level, maybe put some rocks where there'd be some flowers and things. This is easy to fix. This is just, spending a Saturday and then just scrub those windows, make them clean so that when you walk up, you can just see your reflection or you can see straight inside. And you'd be surprised, you just scrub that tile and you make everything super, super clean. That is a much better deal than sometimes than going in there and just putting in, new cabinets, which are expensive, or you put in a new sink or a new this or that, then it leads to a new countertop, and you can get yourself in a trap. But the other thing is that once you do a couple things like that, all of a sudden it looks odd. It's hard to explain, but you can see a nice, clean little kitchen that's old. It might even, metal stove and, fridge and sometimes even metal cabinets. But if everything's super clean, it looks great, and it kind of looks consistent to the whole house. But then all of a sudden you pop in like a new microwave or a new dishwasher, then all of a sudden it's like, these cabinets look really old, this looks terrible. So you'd be better off just leaving it alone and just making everything look really clean and original. But I guess that might be it for now. I just wanted to get something out today. But like I said, keep your eyes open, look for anything kind of distressed or any property that has a problem. It could be like, you see a roof that obviously has damage, or there's one I'm actually looking at right now. The garage is always half open. And there's actually the tail end of a little Mustang sticking out of the back of it. And I've actually been trying to reach the owner. I don't know, they're in another city, but hopefully I'll make a deal on that. But they seem to be tough to get a hold of. I've been writing them quite a few letters. Just keep your eyes out. Because anything can be a deal. It just doesn't matter. It could be, like I say, it could be some industrial property or commercial property. Anything that looks vacant. If it's vacant, it's still costing money. It's costing somebody money for taxes or, a lack of rent. If it's empty, there's your prospect right there. So that's it for today on Flip Anything. So keep that stuff in mind. We'll get into more deals on. I'll go back through some specific deals that I've done, or maybe actually something that I'm working on right now may come through here pretty soon, and we can actually talk about that as I close it. So that's it. Please share this and tell your friends about, and any questions, just put them in the comments, and I'll try to address it as soon as I can. Thanks.